In the mid-1970s, New York City was gripped by a chilling wave of fear. A phantom menace, soon to be known as the Son of Sam, emerged from the shadows, sending shivers down the spine of the bustling metropolis. This was a time of change in the city, a time of disco and punk, of economic downturns and cultural shifts. Yet beneath the vibrant pulse of the city, a sinister undercurrent began to surge. The Son of Sam was not yet a name on everyone's lips, but his actions were about to turn the city of dreams into a nightmare. A series of seemingly random shootings began to unfold, leaving residents on edge. The victims were ordinary people, leading ordinary lives, suddenly thrust into a chilling narrative of crime and fear. No one knew who would be next, or where the elusive predator would strike. The city that never sleeps found itself wide awake, caught in the grip of a terror unlike any other. As the number of victims grew, so too did the public's fear and fascination. The media, feeding on the city's palpable fear, began to paint a picture of the phantom menace. He was a faceless man, lurking in the shadows, striking without warning. This portrayal added fuel to the already blazing fire of public anxiety. Meanwhile, the city's finest were grappling with an adversary who seemed to always be one step ahead. The police were under intense pressure to catch the mysterious gunman and restore peace to the city. But the Son of Sam was elusive, leaving behind little more than a chilling calling card at each crime scene. As the city held its breath, the Son of Sam continued his reign of terror, seemingly uncatchable and unstoppable. The fear was real, the threat was imminent, and the city was in the grip of a horror that would leave a lasting mark on its history. And so began the reign of the Son of Sam. The Son of Sam's reign of terror began in earnest. From the quiet streets of the Bronx to the vibrant heart of Queens, a dark shadow had begun to cast its fear across New York City. The name Son of Sam was not yet known, but the terror he would inflict was just beginning. His victims were often young, vibrant individuals, their lives brimming with potential. Their stories, though tragic, are crucial to understanding the full impact of this reign of terror. Let's remember them, not for the violence that ended their lives, but for the people they were. Jody Valenti and Donna Lauria were the first. It was a warm summer evening in July 1976 when they sat chatting in a parked car. Suddenly, their friendly conversation was cut short by a violent intrusion. Donna Lauria tragically lost her life that night, while Jody Valenti survived the attack, forever marked by the experience. Then there was Carl Denaro and Rosemary Keenan enjoying an evening drive in October of the same year. They survived, but the attack left physical and emotional scars that would last a lifetime. The list tragically continued, with each incident seeming to amplify the fear and horror that was gripping the city. But the terror was not confined to the moments of violence. Each attack sent ripples through the community, transforming neighborhoods into landscapes of fear. People changed their routines, their habits. The once vibrant nightlife of New York City was stifled as people chose safety over socializing. The city that never sleeps had been given a curfew by fear. And it wasn't just the direct victims who were affected. Families were thrown into turmoil, friends left in disbelief, communities left to mourn. Each attack was a pebble thrown into a pond, its ripples reaching far and wide, touching the lives of countless individuals. As the body count rose, the impact was felt not just in the hearts of those who knew the victims, but in the collective consciousness of New York City. The city was under siege, not by an army, but by a lone individual whose actions were as unpredictable as they were horrifying. As the body count rose, so too did the public's fear and the pressure on law enforcement. The police were grappling with a terrifying new reality. A serial killer was on the loose. The urgency to solve the case was palpable, but the clues were few and the leads were sparse. The Son of Sam was still very much an enigma, a shadowy figure causing chaos and leaving devastation in his wake. What they did know was that they were dealing with a cunning adversary, one who seemed to relish in the fear he was creating. The reign of terror had begun, and it would take a Herculean effort to bring it to an end. But as the saying goes, the night is darkest just before the dawn. The dawn was coming, but not before the city had been forever changed by the Son of Sam's reign of terror. With the city in a state of panic, the police were under immense pressure to catch the killer. The year was 1976, and New York was gripped by a fear that was almost palpable. The Son of Sam had emerged from the shadows, and the city that never sleeps was now held hostage by the darkness. As the death toll began to rise, the authorities found themselves in a race against time. They had to uncover the identity of the son of Sam before he could strike again. The investigation was a mammoth task, led by an elite team of detectives who were determined to bring the killer to justice. They combed through mountains of evidence, each piece a sinister jigsaw puzzle waiting to be solved. The clues were scarce and often misleading. Bullet casings were found at the crime scenes, each one a .44 caliber, a signature of the son of Sam. Meticulously, investigators began to piece together a profile of the killer, a man who struck at night, targeting young women with long dark hair. Yet the challenges faced by the police were immense. The son of Sam was a phantom, leaving behind little evidence and no witnesses. With every passing day, the pressure mounted. The media was in a frenzy, the public was in fear, and the police were in a deadlock. The investigation was further complicated by the cryptic letters the son of Sam sent to the police and the press. Written in a chilling, disjointed manner, they revealed a mind in turmoil but offered little in the way of tangible leads. Despite the hurdles, the police remained undeterred. They knew they were the city's only hope. Every clue was scrutinized, every lead pursued, every possibility explored. The detectives burned the midnight oil, their determination unwavering, their resolve unshaken. Despite their best efforts, the son of Sam remained elusive. But the authorities were not about to give up. The hunt for the son of Sam was far from over, and the city of New York held its breath, hoping and praying that the nightmare would soon come to an end. Who was the man behind these monstrous acts? A question that, for many months, haunted the sleep of New Yorkers. The answer came in the form of David Berkowitz, a figure as chilling as the crimes he committed. Born Richard David Falco in 1953, he was adopted by Pearl and Nathan Berkowitz at just a few days old. His adoptive parents renamed him David Richard Berkowitz. The family led an ordinary life in the Bronx, a stark contrast to the dark path their son would later tread. Berkowitz was an intelligent child but struggled with typical adolescent issues compounded by a hefty dose of rebellion. The death of his adoptive mother when he was just 14 was a significant blow, leading him down a path of isolation and resentment. After a stint in the army, Berkowitz returned to New York and took a job as a postal worker. It was around this time that his mental health began to deteriorate rapidly. He became obsessed with the occult and started to believe that demons were communicating with him, sparking his descent into a world of darkness. In the realm of psychology, Berkowitz's case is a study in the complexities of the human mind. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, a severe mental disorder characterized by delusions and hallucinations. His belief that he was receiving commands from a demon-possessed dog is a stark manifestation of his condition. Yet a common question lingers: what were his motives? Berkowitz claimed initially that he was obeying the orders of the demon dog, Harvey. However, later in prison he admitted that this story was a hoax, a fabrication to ensure an insanity plea. He confessed that he had been motivated by a deep-seated resentment towards women, a hatred that he traced back to his own mother's abandonment. But was it just a simple case of misogyny or something more complex? Some experts speculate that Berkowitz's crimes were a twisted attempt to gain control, a desperate bid to exert power over a world he felt had rejected him. Others believe that he craved attention, that the thrill of terrorizing an entire city fed a narcissistic need for notoriety. The truth, as it often is, might be a mix of these theories. Berkowitz himself has given multiple explanations over the years, each one as chilling as the last. His motives, like the man himself, remain an enigma, a puzzle that continues to intrigue and horrify in equal measure. To understand David Berkowitz is to delve into a mind warped by delusion and fueled by hatred. It's to confront the unsettling reality that sometimes the most ordinary individuals can harbor the darkest secrets. It's a reminder that monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they walk among us, unnoticed until it's too late. But even understanding the man behind the murders couldn't prepare the city for what was to come. A break in the case came when a woman named Cecilia Davis, taking a late-night stroll with her dog, noticed a man behaving strangely near her car. She didn't think much of it until she heard about the son of Sam's latest attack, which happened to be just a stone's throw away from where she had spotted the man. Davis remembered the man's face, his peculiar demeanor, and most importantly, the car he was driving, a yellow Ford Galaxy. The same car was later ticketed for a parking violation near the scene of one of the son of Sam's attacks. This seemingly insignificant parking ticket would prove to be the linchpin in cracking the case wide open. The detectives, sifting through mountains of parking tickets, spotted the one issued to a yellow Ford Galaxy. The car belonged to none other than David Berkowitz, a postal worker from Yonkers. A search of Berkowitz's vehicle revealed a rifle, a duffel bag filled with ammunition, maps of the crime scenes, and most chillingly, a threatening letter addressed to the lead investigator of the case. This was the breakthrough the police had been desperately hoping for. Berkowitz was promptly arrested at his Yonkers apartment. He offered no resistance. When asked why he had committed such horrific crimes, Berkowitz gave a chilling reply. He claimed that his neighbor's dog was possessed by an ancient demon, and it was this demon that had ordered him to kill. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief. The reign of the Son of Sam, which had held New York City in a grip of fear for over a year, was finally over. The monster who had lurked in the shadows, preying on young women, was now in the harsh glare of the law's spotlight. Finally, the Son of Sam was behind bars. With Berkowitz behind bars, New York City breathed a sigh of relief. The capture of the Son of Sam marked the end of a year-long reign of terror that had cast a dark shadow over the city that never sleeps. The streets, once filled with fear and apprehension, slowly began to regain their life as the city moved past the terror. The trial of David Berkowitz was a spectacle to say the least. The eyes of the world were on the courtroom as the man dubbed the Son of Sam stood before the judge, the jury, and the families of his victims. His demeanor was chilling, his lack of remorse was unsettling, and his crimes were horrifying. The evidence was overwhelming, and it wasn't long before the verdict was reached. Berkowitz was sentenced to multiple life sentences, ensuring that he would never again pose a threat to society. But the sentencing did little to ease the pain of the victims' families. They were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, their loved ones taken from them in the most brutal way imaginable. The media frenzy surrounding the trial only added to their grief, as their personal tragedies were broadcast for the world to see. The public's reaction was a mix of relief and horror. Relief that the killer had been caught and would face justice, but horror at the atrocities he had committed. The people of New York City rallied around the victims' families, offering support and condolences. The sense of community was palpable as the city united in the face of adversity. The impact on the community was profound. The fear that had once gripped the city slowly gave way to a sense of resilience. New Yorkers were not going to let this ordeal define them. They were determined to move forward, to heal, and to reclaim their city from the shadow of the Son of Sam. But the aftermath of the Son of Sam's reign of terror was not confined to the city of New York. The case had a far-reaching impact, changing the way law enforcement agencies across the country approach serial killer investigations. It highlighted the importance of psychological profiling in criminal investigations, a practice that is now commonplace in law enforcement. The case also sparked a significant change in legislation. The Son of Sam laws, named after Berkowitz, were enacted to prevent criminals from profiting from their crimes through book deals or movie rights. These laws ensure that any money made in this way is instead used to compensate the victims and their families. The Son of Sam's reign of terror was over, but his legacy would live on. Not as a symbol of fear, but as a reminder of the resilience of a city, the strength of a community, and the tireless efforts of law enforcement to bring a killer to justice. The Son of Sam case serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places, and the light that can emerge from even the darkest of times. The Son of Sam left a lasting mark on New York City and the world. His reign of terror, though relatively short, resonated deeply and brought about significant changes. The fear he instilled in the hearts of New Yorkers was palpable, altering the city's vibrant nightlife and introducing a level of caution into the everyday lives of its residents. The media played a crucial role in spreading the terror of the Son of Sam. His letters to the press, filled with chilling threats and deranged justifications, were published and broadcasted widely. This not only fed the public's fear, but also created a spectacle that the world couldn't ignore. The media frenzy surrounding the case set a precedent for future coverage of high-profile crimes. It highlighted the fine line that news outlets must tread between public interest and sensationalism. The Son of Sam case also led to significant changes in law enforcement methods. It exposed the limitations of traditional investigative techniques in the face of a cunning and elusive perpetrator. The New York Police Department, under intense public pressure, collaborated with other agencies and employed psychological profiling, a relatively new tool at the time. This interdisciplinary approach to criminal investigations became more commonplace in the years following the Son of Sam case, marking a turning point in the history of criminal justice. Moreover, the case influenced legislation. The Son of Sam laws, named after David Berkowitz, were enacted to prevent criminals from profiting from the publicity of their crimes. These laws, though controversial and subject to legal challenges, reflect society's struggle to balance the rights of individuals with the need to deter crime and protect victims. Public perception of crime and criminals was also significantly altered. The Son of Sam, an average-looking young man from the suburbs, shattered the stereotype of the typical criminal. His case served as a chilling reminder that evil could lurk anywhere, even behind the most ordinary of facades. It highlighted the complex interplay of factors that lead a person to commit heinous acts, prompting society to grapple with difficult questions about nature, nurture, and personal responsibility. In the end, the legacy of the Son of Sam is a multifaceted one. It's a story of fear and fascination, of media spectacle and societal introspection, of law enforcement evolution and legal innovation. It's a stark reminder of the darkness that can hide in plain sight, and the resilience of a city that stood strong in the face of terror. The Son of Sam remains one of the most notorious figures in American criminal history. The story of the Son of Sam is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the hearts of men. This tale of terror unfolded in the heart of New York City, a metropolis that prides itself on its resilience. Yet for a time, this bustling city was held hostage by an unseen predator, leaving a trail of fear and uncertainty in his wake. The Son of Sam, whose real name was David Berkowitz, was not just an ordinary man who turned into a monster overnight. He was a complex figure with a troubled past, whose actions sent shockwaves through society, forcing us to question the nature of evil itself. His reign of terror, spanning just over a year, brought the city to its knees, instilling a fear that was palpable in every corner of the Big Apple. The relentless pursuit of justice by the authorities, despite numerous challenges, ultimately led to Berkowitz's capture. This proved to be a turning point in the field of criminal investigations, setting new precedents and shaping future techniques. The impact of the Son of Sam case extended beyond the borders of New York, influencing media coverage and public perception of crime. It highlighted the role of media in shaping public opinion and underscored the need for responsible reporting. The case also served as a stark reminder that even in a city as vibrant and diverse as New York, darkness can still find a place to hide. Yet the legacy of this case isn't just about the darkness that was unveiled. It's also about the resiliency of a city and its people, their ability to stand together in the face of adversity, and their unwavering quest for justice. It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit and its capacity to overcome even the most daunting challenges. Thank you for joining us on this dark journey into the past. Remember, stay vigilant, stay safe, and stay curious.